Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Functioning Chat with Kettle Kitchen. And today, Michelle is our guest of honor.
You're not going to call me a victim?
No, it's not Tuesday, so you're not a victim. We'll go ahead and get started. Well, what did you think of that, my friend?
Well, I am a big Scott Joplin fan. Thank you very much. And that's one of my very favorite
I was
songs.
going to say, I wasn't sure if you'd pick up that it was Scott Joplin.
I have a Scott Joplin playbook for flute.
Oh. Another person that made that very famous was Marvin Hamlish, too.
Yes, that was from the movie The Entertainer.
Yes. So
my other favorite song from that movie, before we move on, is Solace. If you've never heard that.
I have. I heard it last night.
Oh, yeah, I sent it to you.
I was going to say a certain individual sent it to me last night.
Oh, you played that today? Thank you.
I thought you would love the carryover.
I did.
And that's going to be my new intro for Sunday Functioning Chat.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So speaking of which, okay, first and foremost, just for housekeeping kind of stuff, we were supposed to pick up on the What's Up With Your Pantry series today. For various reasons, we have decided we're going to put that off. What we will end up doing so that you guys don't lose out is we're going to do one of those visits early in March, one of those visits late in March, and then we'll pick back up on the schedule for April. Okay?
That's good.
Yep. So I hope everybody's okay with that. Well, that's kind of what's going to happen.
Good show, Tony.
But we do want to say hi to everybody that's in here. We got Dark Lord Minute, Prepping for Heaven, Rena LaRue, Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, Miss Heather, Mary Derleth, that's a new name. Thank you. Miss Renee's in with us. Thank you for coming in. Suburban Hillbilly, Tiffany at Canadian Family Life. Oh, Lori says, this is music I can approve.
Thank you. Me too.
That's funny. Rena LaRue likes the new intro.
I love that song so much. It's just so relaxing.
Yes. Yep. Suburban Hillbilly, what's up with my pantry? It's a mess. That's all. Yes. Hello, Nanny Tam. Thank you for coming. She can't stay today, but she wanted to say hi. So thank you for coming in. So that was the housekeeping part of it. What we're going to talk about today is a subtle change to Sunday Functioning Chat. Okay. Subtle in a sense that it's actually a change to, I think, what I would call my tagline for my channel. Okay. And it used to be, be safe, think ahead, meal prep with ease, and always preserve. Okay. Which still is the same thing. Nothing's changed. What has changed was my thought process on what it is that I'm trying to get out there, what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to learn, what I'm trying to find, what I'm trying to follow. Okay. And me and Michelle had this conversation, and we'll get to that at some point in time. Mary, you're in the right place if you're just starting to plan out your pantry, because if anybody has knowledge of how to start your pantry, it's these people in chat as well as the guests that come on here. So they have lots of information. It wasn't for me. It wasn't so much that something was wrong. It was more, and maybe I'm not saying it right. So if it doesn't sound right, Michelle, please butt in anytime. But it was more, it didn't feel like it was really the right place, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that homesteading is the wrong place, because that's not what I'm implying. I want to make that very clear from the beginning. Okay. But the level of homesteading that most of us do that are regulars, and it's not everybody, I'm not implying nobody fits in here that's in here. That's not what I'm trying to say. Okay. I'm saying that the content I'm looking for and I'm trying to put out there, as well as many of the people that come in here and also partake in, say, collaborations or whatever other things we're talking about, most of us tend to be urban homesteaders more than we are small, medium, large scale homesteaders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
To some degree, there's quite a few of us that have limitations. For me, it's I don't own my own place, and I'm right in the middle of this town, so I'm stuck to a lot of other people's rules, not my own rules. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like Michelle was saying, she's stuck to rules, but they're not like my rules. They're different because they own their house. They can do what they want to it. You know,
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, right? Suburban Hillbilly says, I'm no longer a homesteader. I will always be a hillbilly, though.
We all have a hillbilly bone.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes.
I love that song.
But here's where my approach after giving it some thought really came to is for me, what I'm trying to put out there and what I'm trying to take in from out there is the skills sharing that we all do or are trying to do. Okay. If we look at it from a point of skill sharing, it doesn't really matter what size you are or what you are doing or not doing. If you're partaking in it, then it's skill sets you're learning or you're teaching or you're grasping, embracing, whatever it may be. And so I feel like that fits, at least me, that fits me a lot more than any other thing does. Now, it's still about self-sufficiency. It's still about not having to rely on the grocery store as much. Okay. But in order to do that, I still have to do those homesteading type things. I still have to have skill sets that allow me to be able to do that. And I feel like that's more of a fit than anything else. So, what say you?
Me?
Yeah, because you're not saying anything, so I thought I'd let you talk.
You're being so patient. I mean, I usually can't shut up. I've had a lot of sunshine today.
You're enjoying it.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful outside. Finally. Yeah, like Suburban Homesteader was just saying. Suburban Hillbilly was just saying. She grew up, in that kind of hillbilly life and farming and stuff. And I grew up in town, although town was much smaller and wide open back then. And, we didn't do a lot of gardening. We had a couple of neighbors who gardened, but we didn't have huge lots.
Right.
And my mom and dad would throw a few plants out here and there, but I mean, it wasn't like a dedicated space and stuff like that. And then when I became an adult, I always tried to set aside space, but then you live in an apartment every now and again, and you may or may not have a sunny window, and so I appreciate now having a home that allows me in a place, I should say, in a place where I could garden. When I lived up in the Pacific Northwest, we had a very short growing season, and I planted like I lived here in the valley. So that didn't work out very well for me.
So you were overplanting is what you were doing based on, if I'm understanding you.
No, I was planting at the same time I would be planting here. And then, the evenings were still really a lot cooler. And then when I adjusted it and I planted later, it still wasn't enough time. So eventually, you know, I moved back down here anyway. And again, I appreciate it. And I appreciate my trees. I didn't plant trees when we didn't have lemon and citrus and stuff growing up, and we didn't have pomegranates. And once JJ and I moved down here from the Pacific Northwest, I moved back. He moved here for the first time. I knew what we had, and again, I appreciate it. So here we are. But we still have a very limited space, you know,
Right.
so we have to be careful. And we have overplanted in the past. Like, we put an apple tree and 2 orange trees within a span of like 8 feet on center from each other. So the orange trees weren't that good, so they went away, and now we have an apple tree that has, you know, provided bounties for us.
I love apple. I don't like red. What are those red apples? Red what? Yeah, I can't. Those are. And I don't know, but that's the apple of the state, and it's like it is.
They're so mealy. They're just. But see, growing up, that's really all they had in the grocery stores in the 70s.
True.
Granny Smith, Golden Delicious, and Red Mealy, whatever. Yeah. And because I ate lemons like candy, I preferred the sweetness of the red apples. So I ate my fair share of those things. But their skin is so thick.
It's that, and you would find once in a while, you would find 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4 that weren't that mealy consistency, but for the most part, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a Golden Delicious or a Granny Smith or something else, and I'm happy. Okay. I love apples. I just don't like the Red Delicious apples. Anyway. But more so to what you're saying, though, is do you grasp the concept I'm trying to, which I already know the answer to it, but I want everybody to know. Do you grasp the concept of what I'm trying to put out there? And I think Heather really hits it, reach one, teach one. She has been saying that for weeks now. And it's like, that really is where it is. If you can reach one person and teach one person, we've helped each other, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's about that skill sharing, skill set sharing, skill set acquiring, embracing, educating, informing, which ultimately is where we land. Do you agree with that thought process? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that being said, as I made a change to my homepage on YouTube, which I'll share with everybody, and now you can see it. And there you go. Embracing, educating, informing equals skill sharing, because that's what I really think that's where my direction should be. I think that's what we all do, whether we realize it or not. And I think it is about embracing, educating, and informing, because you can give it out as informational, but you can also learn from it. You can be educated. You can be informed. You can be embracing of a subject matter.
I mean, you look in the chat.
Right.
There, I mean, they might not be on camera, but so many people who do regularly come in on the chat on your channel have a lot to add and a lot of background information, right?
Right.
The only outhouse I've ever used, and I try like heck not to have to, is, you know, Johnny on the spot when you're at the fair or something. And I'll hold it all day long.
How did we get into outhouses?
I'm reading over here about people's lives growing up without indoor plumbing and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I mean, if you grew up with it, I suppose you would, you know, it's okay. Right. But it's just not something that I would be used to. That's all. But we learn a lot from people. And then, people are Arena. But you know, I mean, you look over here and we're talking about things like, you know, what this apple, you know, what one particular apple is good for versus another. And
Right.
some people may be in here thinking, you know, I was thinking about planting some trees, reading this, and now they maybe have an idea because, oh, I wanted to make apple butter. I'm going to plant it, you know, golden delicious. So I don't know.
Right. Right. The best apple butter I've ever made
And
has
one
some
sec.
Granny Smith in it though too, because the tart, it does help.
Yeah, and it's like when we make apple pie, I try to put 3 different varieties in it.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
we
make
do.
a lot of apple pie, to be honest. I think I've made about 10 in my whole life. We just don't make pie.
I think I think you really hit a nail on a head because the beauty of the type of interaction we have with everybody that comes into my lives, as well as chats that we have or videos or whatever it may be, I've learned a lot from those people sitting over on the side, and I think that's important because it's a give and take situation.
I agree. I
Okay.
agree. And you know what else I like too is, and this is like YouTube in general, is seeing what all of us do because I'm going to use Renee as an example. Renee can grow rhubarb like there's, you know, no
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We can grow it, but we have to be really careful where we grow it and it doesn't grow the way it does up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's another channel that, and if I can, Linda's Pantry outside of somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest, I
Yeah.
think in Washington State,
Yeah.
but further west than you.
Yeah. She's southern West Washington.
Right.
I'm eastern North Washington.
And there's a big difference there, right?
Yes.
You're on one side of the Cascades and she's on the other.
Yes.
But she can grow rhubarb really well. And
Right.
that's roughly the area I lived in, and we could grow rhubarb there. And blackberries were plentiful for months.
Yes.
And here we have about a 3-week period. I mean, we get a lot of blackberries, but we only have
But
like
it's a
3-week
short
period
span. Right.
because they'll dry up on the vine from the heat.
Right.
So
Troy
it's good
Sutton
to
has
watch.
jumped in, and I seen Stephanie's in with us too. What was the last part? Sorry.
Hey guys. Oh, I'm just saying, it's just fun to see the different things that different people can grow. I
Well,
know that you're
and
living vicariously through my lemons right now. You know?
yes, but I mean, it's I think every area offers a different situation, a different climate, a different environment. Yes, it's geographically a different location. We already give to that, but the benefit you have is just like you said. Now, if I remember correct, where Linda lives in southern western Washington, they can grow red rhubarb or green, one or the two, but they can't grow the other, where we can grow both up here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, just in the same state, there's a variance in what you can and can't grow,
Well, here where I live, well, I'm going to use Xander as a victim here.
No victim.
We probably live 90 miles from each other, 90 to 100 miles from each other.
Right.
But we have very different climates.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't even know how to garden where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and he'd probably do fine here because he's pretty knowledgeable, but
Right.
I'd be a fish out of water where he lives. So you're welcome.
Yeah. I think, I mean, even so on the west side of the state, huckleberries over there are different than the huckleberries over here.
Mm-hmm.
They're two totally different things. They grow two totally different ways. They don't even look alike.
You get like the Montana huckleberries.
Here we do over on the coast. It's more of an off salmon pinkish color, but it's not salmon berries. I'm not implying that, but it's that. I mean, but it's that different. And the bush they grow on is 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. Over on the west side, they are. Not here. Yeah, not here. Yeah, she was talking about we grow the Montana style, that deep purple color. Yeah. Anyways,
and Milk and Honey lives in Northwest Oregon, probably near where I was.
Probably.
And so their stuff is very, very similar to what we could grow when I lived up there.
Yes, yes. But the whole point of what you're saying and the truth behind it is we all can learn from each other, you know. And that's really, for me, that's really the drive and the goal in the changeover. And I think I might change it a little bit different. Right now I have it as embracing, educating, informing. I think I want to change it to embrace, educate, inform.
You know what I would add if I were you?
What?
Just because of what you do, share. There's a lot of sharing of information on your channel.
So then if I do that, then embrace, educate, share, inform skill sets. I think that plays. Look at the wind outside. And we got a big, huge
wind. That's at your house?
At our house, we got a big, huge windstorm going through.
Well, that could be JJ weed eating, though, too.
Yeah, it probably is.
That's probably right.
I don't hear it. I just see it. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Then I hear JJ weed eating.
Dark Lord Minute says, hi, Patty. Hello. And of course, my dog's going to start barking because she said hello to somebody. And I'm going to get with Heather, and I want to find out about where she got this reach one, teach one, because I would love to throw that in there as well, because I think that just hit spot on to the drive behind it. Heather.
Say it again. Say all that again.
I want to discuss with Heather. Shall I type it in the chat so you can read what I? Okay.
Yeah, because that's where my eyes are.
Where she got the reach one, teach one hashtag from? Is that something she did or not? Because I really would like to integrate that as well, because I think that really hits in very quick what we're trying to say. But she's not saying anything, so she may not be paying attention right now. Anyway,
reading the chat like I am.
Okay.
You know, though, I didn't can until I started watching YouTube. I went to YouTube for two reasons. One was to learn more about plant-based eating, whole food plant-based eating. And then the other was to learn how to can my own food. And there's so much more than that, though, out here. And then when you start meeting people, then you really learn a lot more.
Yeah.
So
I seen Mitzi DeLuca. Thank you for coming in. She's in Maryland. And Rena really hits it. Everyone has something to teach. Someone who will eventually listen. You may not know that they are. I mean, that's a big thing. We have a lot of people that actually come in and watch that just lurk. They don't say nothing. They're just watching. So, but when they do talk, they have something. I had a preschool. Okay, I'm reading this. ART Learning Center. Always teaching and teaching and teaching. So is that saying something you did? Is that something that you own? Let me ask that. I guess that's really what I'm asking. And if so, can I steal it from you? Give me just 1 second.
So while he's doing that, you guys, is everybody getting a little dose of spraying, a little teaser? Because we are, we stormed all month long, and it's been in the mid to upper 60s now for 2 days, and I cannot get enough of it. It's beautiful.
What's that? I didn't catch what you were saying. Sorry.
I was asking people in the chat if they're getting those teasers of spring right now.
Oh, yeah. I heard birds.
Yeah, Alexander still has snow.
I heard birds this morning you don't normally hear until spring is here.
We saw a flock of geese, and
Really?
I'm not joking. They were flying in a circle, and JJ's like, oh, my God, they don't know where to go.
That's funny.
And it was a lot of them. I'd say probably about 4 dozen, which we just don't see that much of anymore.
We see them all the time.
In a V, right. They were like a pool of fish. It was so funny.
That is funny. We have, yeah, we see geese all the time, but we're also in a pattern, I think, a migration pattern, to see that because
And
they
we
got,
are. We have a lot of rice fields still and all those farms. So we're like, on the way to and from for the birds going to and from
right,
Canada.
right.
A lot of them do stop in this general area, but it's not like it was when I was a kid. And I mean, it would be like a cloud over the sky when they would go over because there were just so many more birds back then.
Yeah. So here's a request we have.
Cool.
And so the change we're talking about doesn't change that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the direction to hopefully fine tune the community a little more, I think is what I'm
I
after.
think what we talked about yesterday, Tony, a lot of what we're missing is the animal husbandry end, right?
Yes, right.
We don't have tractors. We don't have a need for a tractor, and we don't have room for a tractor. So we don't have tractors. We don't have, we could have chickens maybe, right? But that's all we can have. There's JJ.
Hi, JJ.
Howdy. Oh, he's gonna go.
Oh, he's
Howdy.
a battery for the mower.
Tell him to smile.
Cool. Turn around, honey. That's cool. Yeah, they do.
Old guys rule. I love that. I want one of those.
The older I get, the better I was. Is what a shirt.
I love it.
Hey, prepping for heaven.
Oh, Angela
Angela's here.
Hello.
Okay, so Rebecca's got 71 and 73. Yeah. Oh, I just love it.
So, hi.
Okay, off I go.
Isaiah.
So as far
hi, Isaiah.
Michelle said hi, Isaiah.
Sorry.
Isaiah. Michelle said hi. The lady from California. Hi.
We both pizza together last year.
Yes. Pizza.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest part of what we talked about yesterday is that we just aren't in a position where we do that. And that's where you sort of felt lost. And sometimes I do. I live vicariously through people who have pigs and everything. But to be truthful, I have friends who have pigs and stuff, and I'm afraid of livestock because I haven't been really exposed. I used to drive through fields of cattle with pine shavings and stuff up in the Pacific Northwest, and they would follow me, and they were very nice. But you think I got out of my truck when they were following me? No, no, I did not.
Hello, Elliot, AR Patriot 1776. Thanks for coming in. Haven't talked to him in a long time. And when you say the part we're missing is the husbandry part of it, it is a missing part to what we are able to do or have. But the stress point I want to make in that is that doesn't mean that people that do have animals can't be a part of this. That's not what we're saying at all. It's just we're limited in what
here. Yeah, we have people in the chat that have animals.
Right. And I just want to make that clear. That's not what we're saying. It's just we're limited in what we can provide when we don't have those things to provide, and there's a lot of other things we can provide. So I think doing it this way and honing in what the offering is, that it makes it a little bit easier. That's the point behind what I'm trying to say, I think.
And then I have my friend Angela who goes out and will talk to me while she's milking cows in the morning. And
would that be the same friend Angela I have as well? That
probably.
I
love that.
She does that all the time. She'll be doing something. Oh, I'm just out, whatever.
Chasing down a calf.
Yeah.
I know.
Excuse me. Yes.
Oh, that's funny. I'm reading Rebecca's comment there.
So Xander brought this up. So I went and looked actually just out of curiosity to see where that collaboration video that Dark Lord's talking about. I got to get there though. Hold on just a second. The whole reason I'm bringing up isn't, no, I don't want to do that. Stop. Oh, Lordy.
Plan to can, Alexander. Plan to can. Yeah. Oh, just as it comes out of my mouth.
Yes. The whole thing I'm trying to get to is this. That was done. So that's a collaboration that Jenny Scratchmade Kitchen is doing. Jenny Goff is the host of it with the Miller Life, and it really was about helping beginners understand the canning process a little easier or a little more. Okay. In doing that, I just went through every step I could possibly think of in regards to what I do when I can. Okay. The comments that are coming out of that are to die for. I mean, people love that video. Now, most of my videos if I get 100, I'm a happy camper. Okay. I'm up to 265 on that video.
Doesn't that feel good when you get good views on? Yeah.
But it's not just the views, it's the comments that they're making. And one of the comments I want to talk about, because I think it's important, which really ties into what we're talking about, is the reason why I'm doing it. Okay. Two comments. One, this is a wonderful video for beginners. And the second one was, great job with the instructions and all the advice and guidance. You were so thorough through the entire process. And I liked how you showed different parts of what I did.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point is that, to me, is one of those, if I can show you what I do in the same process you might be going through, that will help you, not necessarily with shortcuts, but learning from my own mistakes so that you don't make them. It's kind of like teaching a kid, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to learn from what your mistakes are so they don't have to go through those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about.
One of the collaborators actually took their child on, adult child, but took their child on and had that child make the recipe while walking them through the steps. It was Ginger. And, it takes longer to do that. It takes time to show somebody the first time. I remember the first time we made pomegranate jelly with the neighbors that knew how to do it, who ultimately we got our tree from as a start. I'm not joking. For 6 or 7 half pints of jelly, it took 4.5 hours. I can whip a batch up now in less than 25 minutes if I don't have the camera on.
Right.
And then I'm on to I've already washed the pan and I'm on to the next batch. Because why? Because you should never double a batch. You should always.
I love, there was
batch.
Okay. So number one, yes, you are correct. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Never double your batches. Always just do multiple batches. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of the things that Ryan said in his video. He did a Bing cherry with amaretto recipe. And he said that they were making a big batch, but when you listen to the video in it, he made the point that we're going to do multiple batches. We're not going to. So he hit it, but he didn't explain why. And the why is because you lose the potency of the pectin, you lose the potency of the acidity, you lose the potency of the cook times and things like that. So don't just automatically assume that you can take a recipe and double, triple, quadruple. And people do it. I'm not saying they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, based on my research, that is not a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not only research, but experience.
I won't say that I didn't double batch some pomegranate jelly in the day, but I also didn't know enough to not tip it upside down once in a while. You're not even supposed to tip a jar even ever so slightly to tip the water off when you're taking it out of a water bath canner. Or any canner,
right?
Yeah, and so these are things that I did actually learn through watching YouTube, and reading. When we
Yes.
first got our USDA, the canning guidelines, we went through and we read recipes and stuff like that. And but I didn't read like all of the narrative at the beginning of the book or the beginning of each section. I didn't go out to university extensions to go and find different recipes that are tested and approved. And now we do
Right.
that. And just by doing that and having canned for several years now, some things just make so much more sense than they used to.
Right.
And we have safer. I know that the food that we make now is safer. I'm not saying it was unsafe before, but I know it's a lot better now.
Right. So just for those that don't know what she's talking about, I will show this. This is the Complete Guide to Home Canning, which is put out by the USDA, and it shows you all the guidelines, the times, the altitudes, the amounts, recipes, all kinds of information, the whys, the why nots. And if you don't have it, it would be something that I think is very important to put into your library. But there you go.
And now that's the 2015 or 2017, I think, edition. And so I just bought
2015. Sorry.
Right. That was the last revision, right? So now there's a dark green cover on it. So there's a newer one.
But there's okay, say that again.
There's a newer edition. I'm not saying there aren't a lot of changes in it. The headspace for chicken is different. But ironically,
2015 was the last time the book was put out by the USD as a revamped edition. Okay. 2019, they made an edition with the headspace for the chicken part of it, but it didn't change the book. That was the only thing that changed, other than editorial notes. That was the only thing that changed. So,
and I just saw one that says 2023. It came out in March of 2023.
See, I haven't seen that. Nothing I can even look at and buy comes up with 2023. Okay. But again, was anything changed is the question. Because if it was just a reprint of the same thing, then nothing has changed. If it has, that's a game changer for many reasons we won't discuss here today. But, that does make a difference. So I'll have to look into that. Thank you for telling me that.
And don't look into taking it to Staples or Office Depot to have it laminated and spiral bound. Because that is over $1 a page. I bought two because I wanted to take one in and get it laminated and spiral bound.
Right.
Because years ago, I heard you could get that done for about $25. Not
years ago.
Yeah, not anymore. Angela at the Inquisitive Farm Wife was just saying she was making grape jelly one year, and family stopped by and offered to take jars out of the canner so that she could focus on dinner. And she had to go down and let her know not to tip the jars because, we make assumptions that everybody has done it before or that they know how. And I'm just going to throw in there, even if her cousin had canned before that, maybe things had changed or they just didn't know.
Right. What is she referring to?
Oh, yeah.
I can't see. Oh,
Troy said that he's been canning breads, and
that's an unsafe practice.
That's considered unsafe.
Yes.
Yeah. And Bonnie is teaching two friends and her 11-year-old niece how to can.
Yep. Welcome in, Bonnie Poland. Thank you for coming in. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it.
You know what, though? He may not know any better, you guys. He may have seen a rogue channel and think that it's okay. That's one of the cautions about YouTube, or taking old-fashioned recipes from family that, fortunately didn't hurt anybody, is that you really don't know. And a lot of the rogue channels don't tell you that it isn't a safe and tested recipe. They'll tell you that the great grandma or great aunt Fanny's been doing that for 80 years and everybody survived, so it must be okay. So do your research.
And in the end of it, it's really you do you. You're the one that has to deal with it.
Yep.
You're the one that has to decide what you want to do and not want to do. The information's out there. If you want to follow it, then follow it. If you don't, that's a choice you make. But where we can educate and inform, I think it's a good thing. If a person still wants to go down that road, that's on them.
And we've had this conversation before too. I think all of us individually have had the conversations, and then at times on various channels and chats and things, especially Sunday functioning chats, it comes up quite a bit around this time of year. And that is that food is different now than it used to be. Food is different. Everything's hybridized and specialized. So they don't have all the different properties that they used to have.
No.
Acidity is different. You know, when you can with lemon juice, you have to use JJ and I'm sorry, I'm going to chase the squirrel for a minute. JJ and I have lemon trees.
Thank you for the pre-warning. I appreciate that.
I need to get a little picture of a squirrel and just hold it up.
Okay.
We have lemon trees, and because we do make vinegars and things like that, and we ferment our own apple cider vinegar now every year. No, we haven't bought apple cider vinegar for like 5 years. But so we buy these test strips to make sure that the acidity, you know, we can smell and we know it's right, but we still like to be sure by testing it. Right. And we don't use it for canning. We use it for cleaning, and we use it for salad dressings and stuff. But
which in reality, in salad dressings and things like that, it doesn't have to be a specific acidity level. Right. So it doesn't, there's no need to watch that, you know.
It's more of a nerdy interest, to be honest with you. But when you buy those, then you get this whole big old roll of them, you know.
Right.
So we were just talking about, because we're harvesting lemons right now out of the backyard, and we were talking about taking a Eureka lemon, just a random Eureka lemon, which is the sour one and the thick skin like you normally buy at the store, and testing that one, and testing a Meyer lemon, which is a thin-skinned, more sweet, you know, sweet orange lemon, pardon me, like for lemon meringue pies and stuff. But we were thinking about just testing that. But the problem is that, you know, if you live in one climate, one lemon to the next may not have enough acid in it.
Right.
So you just have to be careful. And you know what? I bought vinegar at Smart and Final, and it did not anywhere. It was white vinegar. And I thought, okay, I could can with it because they were out of Heinz and the Three Monks or whatever, the monks. And those both label that they're 5% acidity. And I could not find the percentage of acidity on the Smart and Final brand. So we used it for cleaning and drain, you know, unclogging drains and keeping them clean. But it never came, I mean, like it wasn't even kept in the pantry.
Right. So one thing I want to bring up is this response right there. That's what we're hoping to do is you ultimately have to make the choice and the decision what you're going to do. If we provide you with what information we are, the reason I'm saying it this way, and I'm going to be very careful and tiptoe for a specific reason. There are some channels out there that if they have felt that they've been asked the same question so many times, they start to get bugged by it, I guess is the best way to put it and easiest way to put it. I don't care if you ask me 100 times, I'm going to repeat the information as many times as I need to. You ultimately have to make that choice and that decision as to how you're going to do it. But I don't want anybody to ever come on here and think that I'm pushing them away because I don't want to take the time to explain the knowledge that I have. Okay. Or the experience or whatever it may be. So that is right there to me, part of what this is doing. Okay.
Yeah.
The other part that goes along with it too is I think I'm trying to think of how to say this. I think I've already said it, but I'll repeat it once more because I started to pause for a moment. It really comes down to each individual doing their own research. It does. Okay.
And what you're comfortable with.
It's what you're comfortable with. It's what you know how to do. If you don't know how to do it, what do I feel is the safe approach to research that information. Because again, ultimately, each individual person or set of people have to make their own decisions as to what they're going to produce and how they're going to do it. Okay. It's not, I'm not here to have the battle of rebel canning versus non-rebel canning. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay.
But I won't put out a video. There may be some things I do that may be even slightly questionable,
right,
that I would never, ever put on a video and represent that it is tested and approved.
no, and I get that.
That person takes a shortcut, right, from me, or they add something that maybe they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be responsible for them hurting themselves or their family or making them sick.
So that actually is it's segued into where I was going with what I was trying to say. Here's the ultimate end result, and it fits into what you're saying. Okay, I'm with you. I wouldn't put something out there that I wholeheartedly think or know it's not a safe practice. Okay. But at the same token, I want to keep reiterating that because I would feel bad. Example, if Michelle comes and watches a video where I added in fresh squeezed lemon juice into my blackberry jam and told her that's an appropriate, told whoever, but she happens to be watching it, that's an approved method, or you should be okay with it, or I've done that and everything's worked. Michelle does it, and then come to find out, because of that lemon juice not being the set 5% acidity, say it's 4% acidity. Okay. Now she's putting something on a shelf that she thinks perfectly safe. 6 months down the road, opens it up. Her grandma comes and eats it, and then her grandma dies, or a friend dies, or somebody else dies, or just get sick in general. It doesn't, I'm not
two and two together, right?
Right. I'm not trying to fear monger that. So I'm glad you said it that way. But if it does, then they come back and say, well, Michelle at Big Valley Living said I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
You now have become a liability.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to do that. I think that's where the bigger thing is.
And Troy, I mean, that is exactly right. Yeah. And that's why we have the conversations. I do want to make sure that everybody knows it's not about shaming. And I'm looking here, Xander did a jam that used to be in the Ball Blue book, but it isn't anymore. And it's persimmon jam. And my guess, based on because the more you learn, the more you know you don't know.
Right.
My guess is that it has something to do with how dense that persimmon is, as opposed to other things.
Probably, I would assume.
Because persimmons are really dense when you cook them down.
Yes.
And so what may have been considered safe, even in a Ball Blue book or USDA years and years ago, just might not still be that way. And I think that's why we do try to have these conversations, right?
Yep.
But there's no shame in asking a question at all. I don't think.
No. Okay. So what I know, and I'm going to tell you only what I know because I just double checked it to make sure. And it's on Stephanie's question. I have a question for someone who's an allergy to lemon juice. She has a couple friends of mine that are allergic to lemon juice. When canning, what else can you use besides lemon? The only answer I'm going to give you is because I know it's true. I just double checked it. You can use vinegar.
Ascorbic acid.
Or absorbic acid. That's the two choices you have. Okay. Absorbic acid is something that a lot of people just a couple of years ago, a lot of people were using absorbic acid because lemon juice became expensive for a short amount of time. If you could find it.
Things we don't want to have any chance of having lemon juice flavor in. We use ascorbic acid in our tomato products.
Yep. I do
in our salsas,
right?
Because there's something about like putting the lemon juice in the salsa. It tastes to us, it just tastes a little different,
right? Citric acid. That's what I was looking for. But that's an option as well, and it's a choice as well. Or you can do the vinegar, or if let's assume you don't have people that are allergic to it. Lemon juice is the preferred
Hold
method.
on 1 second. Keep talking because I'm going to go get my book because JJ and I had one kind of acid and thought we could use it in a recipe. And in fact, we could only use the other one, but now I can't remember. So I'm going to go get my book.
It's citric acid.
That you cannot use or that you
can use.
Okay.
I'm in the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I'll look it up.
Because we both thought, oh yeah, we have that. And we went to make the product in a video. And we reread it. Always reread those things like 2 or 3 times before you get ready to can. Because even though we canned it before.
Right. So this is part of the tips here that they go through and list. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. But I want to get to right where it says. Okay.
If you go to pressure can mushrooms, that's where you're going to see the one. But it was for preserving color too.
I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm just. Oh, here we go. So here's what it basically says. USDA and university-based researchers have determined to ensure safe acid levels for boiling water canning of whole crushed juiced tomatoes. This is referring to tomatoes, but it gives you the example. Add 2 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice, half teaspoon of citric acid. I'm trying to make sure. Or you can use 4 tablespoons of 5% acidity vinegar. Okay, so there are options, and it is citric acid, not ascorbic acid.
So ascorbic acid is for color preservation.
Okay,
that's what that, because it kept our mushrooms bright.
Right.
Versus, if you didn't, it's totally optional.
But again, don't use that in place of citric acid. Right.
Exactly.
Right. No, but anyway, I mean, I don't. Here's the biggest thing about having these conversations is just like Troy, okay? I don't want it to turn into a question or comment comes out like that, and then everybody attacks because it's not about
attack. I'm just being excited.
No. You were fine, and I appreciated the way you did it, and everybody in there, I mean, they came around and they're fine. I just don't like having that discussion. Because inevitably, it never fails. You get a rebel canner that will sit there and fight you on it. And it's like, I'm not here to fight you. I'm just here to put the information out as it's listed. You do your own research and do your own thing.
Exactly.
Okay? So, anyways, that was a long rabbit hole, my friend. Thank you.
Stephanie, if you use... Renee, help me. Angela, Tony.
What are you looking for?
Pomona pectin. Stephanie.
Yep.
You could use that, and you use way less sugar. Yes. I haven't done it. I know that Sutton's Days recently did one using Pomona's pectin. Some folks in here probably have used it, and I have 2 boxes. I just haven't tried it yet. We don't use a lot of jellies and jams. That's why I haven't done it.
No, please.
Troy, I'm glad to hear that.
I just dumped my coffee everywhere.
You're not supposed to do that.
And Suburban Hillbilly. It wasn't taken that way. I'm glad you did bring it up because the last thing we do is want people to get sick. Now, thank you.
It comes from a good place in the heart.
It is. As long as it's from the heart, I'm okay with the conversation. If it's malicious, vindictive, or you're just here to start something, I got better things to do, and so does everybody else. So, anyways, Troy, don't feel like you can't ask a question, especially knowing that you're wanting to learn it, you're wanting to know it, you're wanting to, if you're interested in the learning part of it, then those questions are important to be asked.
Yeah.
Okay?
And this isn't part of the conversation we had yesterday before coming on.
It
today.
is.
I mean, this was actually, Troy, this was something that we wanted to talk about. So
Yes, we've been trying to decide how we were going to do it. So
you opened up the conversation.
Yes, and you didn't dig a hole obtaining knowledge either. Okay, can you finish for just a few minutes? I've got to go to the bathroom. I can't wait.
You didn't need to know that. Okay. You guys, that's funny. So I see that we all are kind of getting that spring fever though, aren't we? I'm so excited. So we're pruning our pomegranate tree back today, and I got almost all of the Meyer lemons picked. Our other lemons, we only have like 9, and we still have green on them, so they're gonna stay on the tree until they're fully yellow. Let me see here. Oh, Angela, gonna have the 70s. And then we're hoping actually for a cold snap because the mosquitoes are really bad here. And our neighbor just told us that so we're like 45 miles from Napa County, maybe 50 miles from Napa. And I guess they found West Nile virus over there. And so I'm really, we're walking around dumping every bucket we can right now, making sure everything's empty and dry. I guess it's just part of having really wet weather, you know. No, Stephanie, a lime is a lime. And right now I have limes that have been on the tree since January that turned yellow, but they still taste like limes. And a green lemon is an unripe lemon. It doesn't taste anything like a lime, and a yellow lime doesn't taste anything like a lemon. Let's see, Sure Gel has a low sugar pectin. Oh, okay. I've never used that. Yeah, Alexander, we are supposed to have some storms, but here where we live, they're not supposed to be too bad. They're just keeping us from fixing our fence all the way. And Mitzi started seedlings on February 19th. Oh, that's very cool. 2 weeks ago when we were having our second round of storms, I went ahead and threw some spinach seeds, kale seeds, and lettuce seeds in different wine barrels. And my spinach is already like 1.5 inches high. There aren't that many. And my kale's growing, but no lettuce yet. So I think maybe my 2-year-old seeds, maybe I should have put more in each hole. And yes, Dark Lord, I understand that West Nile has been around for a long time. It's just that they found it very early and in tighter concentrations than they have. I don't know about Nevada, but where we are, they actually drive around or fly around, and I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree, and they spray for it. Not a fan of being oversprayed, but they spray for it.
Look who popped in. Hello. Okay, sorry I took so long, but Mother Nature called. I think, really, again, we're back at, why the change. This is the reason for the change. It's about sharing, embracing, educating, informing to give people new skill sets that they may not have, and for us to learn as well. Now, I'm saying us because that invitation's open to everybody, but don't feel like you have to either. Yep. That's your choice. Okay.
And I love the fact that you're doing that, Troy, because one of the reasons we did want to start canning too was to take control over things that we had control over. Mm-hmm. And like any kind of something that stresses you out, canning, I think, is just really relaxing and helps you to stay organized and focused, no matter, what you might be going through, or if you're disabled or something. If you can find a way to do it, if you can't stand for a long time or something, find a counter that you can sit at or something. Mm-hmm. I just find it super relaxing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we're at our hour. I'm looking. I will say we will tentatively plan for doing the what's up with your pantry next week, depending on how Angela is with that. We may have to move it a week further, but the intention is that we're going to have 2 in the month of March, one to make up for this month, and then one for March, and then we'll move into a regular schedule inside of April. So, that's where we're at. You will see some changes to my logos and thumbnails.
And even more now, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes. She said, sounds good. Voice should be back by then. So that's the goal, is that's what we'll try to hit for. So we're here Sundays, 2:00. The girls meeting Michelle from Big Valley Living and Angela from the Inquisitive Farm Wife once theoretically on schedule. We meet once a month to go over what's up with our pantry. And then this channel on Sundays basically is about everything else. I mean, it's how do you function? What's making us go? And then of course I have my Tuesday night game night, and then I have a Friday night late night interview I do. So everybody's always welcome. Please come back. You can find all that information on my channel. Any last words?
I thought this was a fun conversation today.
Yes, I do too.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
I want to say Troy is doing indoor gardening. I'm actually getting ready to take my craft room and turning it into an indoor grow room, because it seems to in the Sacramento Valley, it seems that it's always too hot or too cold to grow lettuce perfectly. And I don't know what you all are paying for lettuce, but a crappy head of lettuce, like red leaf or something, is like $2 to $3.79 now. We can polish that off for dinner every single day.
Right.
So we're going to start some indoor growing that is focused on stuff like that. So I'm glad to hear that he's doing that.
So that being said, I also, anybody that wants to help with the seed donation, I need to find out how many seed packets of 5 you're willing to donate, or if you want to be a receiver, or if you want to be both, because we got to start getting that formulated. I have a couple of them figured out. I don't have them all figured out. So
how many are you? Okay. So we could take like a big package of seeds and turn it into small packages. Is that what you're saying?
As long as it can be shipped, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's good, I already know that if it's going to go outside the US, it needs to be in the original packages. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay. But I need to know how many, because we're doing sets of 5 for each donation. So I need to know how many donations each person can do, so I can get it on a list and I know how many of those we're putting out. So,
and do you have any idea how many you're looking for? I mean, do you know what the need is? Because I know Ryan at Heavenly Hills Homestead is championing this whole effort, right? Because he's a vet.
Right. I don't have an answer for you right now because the list is all over the place. I'm trying to get it together. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So we won't do the giveaway until the end of the month, until the end of March. But I need to get the list and figure out where we're at and how many we can do and whatnot before we announce, okay, inundate us with emails and requests if I don't know how many that is. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And are these being targeted towards vets?
No, it's whoever. This part is for whoever.
This is sheet sharing.
Sheet sharing. Yes, that's basically what we're doing.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
All right. Okay, everybody, we'll see you later. Have a safe week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.